His Excellency, George Weah, President of Liberia. Our board noted that His Excellency's victory as the African Political Leader of the Year 2023 is a testament to his contributions to promoting peace, African culture and development, youth and sports development, and advancing Africa's agenda globally. It is also a recognition of his critical role in the infrastructural and socio-economic development of his country as well as his people-friendly policies. He has continued to advocate for peace and free and fair elections in the ECOWAS sub-region, and this was demonstrated by a show of statesmanship and iconic posturing by accepting electoral loss and congratulating the winner. While he arguably had options as a sitting president, he chose the path of honor, peace, and the defense of democracy. His emergence reaffirms our position that he has remained one of the continent's leading light, as he had continued to demonstrate great faith in the African project, promoting African dignity and helping to change the negative narratives about the continent.
Before we could become journalists today, we are citizens. If there is no way that our country is safe, we cannot practice in our respective professions. When we are at war, pastors will not be respected to go to church to preach. When we are at war, medical doctors will not be able to go to hospitals except on a coercion or certain condition. When we are at war, lawyers will not be able to go to court to practice. That's why when you see these things happening, whether you are a lawyer, whether you are working a profession, you got to step down and protect your country so that that country will provide an avenue for you to be the kind of person that you want to be. And that's where we are now. What happened on yesterday was wrong. It's still wrong. No matter what it is wrong. We are seeing things happening in this country, and people are now seeing it as being right because the Assad is there. And these are things that we got to be stand up. To be a patriot, you have to stand first on the side of the law, because the politicians will go away. The regime will pass away, but your country will stay. The law will stay. Your patriotism vow will continue to stay on. And these are things that we got to stand up for. It doesn't matter how people feel, what kind of side you want to be on. We just got to speak to the truth, and that is very much important.
I see in the next few months a nicer country, a very noisy country, rowdy country, a heavily divided country, a very tough economy, a sense of elitism by those who are coming at the hem of authority. The coming in of the Unity Party is going to multiply the economic woes, the economic conundrum, the economic quagmire, the suffering of the Liberian people is going to multiply. We are not prophets of doom, but the reality will come.
Mr. President, recently we witnessed the demolition of the CDC headquarters in Comot Town, which was carried out through a court order. How does the administration ensure that such enforcement action are done fairly and without political interference?
The law is the law. It's not the government. It's the government implementation of the law. The police were ordered to do it, and they did it. Is that demolition is removal of the people from premises that don't belong to them according to the law.
Why will George Weah, who is tempted by Joseph Boakai, who was drowning in his Egypt land, who was dead, very red up, dirty, stink, you could find him passing around, practically dead and useless. Why will such a man conduct make you wear vex that you will struck the work and then lose God's own mission to take you to the promised land? That was the test of time today for George Weah. If George Weah had reacted, he would have fallen in the place of Moses.
The Liberian National Police commends the Congress for Democratic Change for the discipline, calm, and statesmanship demonstrated during the recent eviction process. Their respect for the rule of law, despite the deep sentimental value and history attached to the property, reflects a maturity that strengthens Liberia's democracy. This movement is not only a testament to CDC's leadership, but also a reminder to all political institutions and citizens that our democracy grows stronger when lawful decisions are honored peacefully.
Today, you have a rebel police director who thinks that he has arrived. And the worst thing about all these people, They all benefited from the magnanimity of George Weah, ranging from people on the bench of the Supreme Court. They got letters from George Weah. If some of them choose to pay him back with evil, it's up to them. The very Gregory Comer today, he worked in the previous administration when Weah came. He also got another letter again. If he chooses to do what he's doing, it's up to him. But one thing I can tell you for sure is this is how we had always been molded. That's how God has already molded Weah and catapult him into success. He will suffer rejection, denigration, humiliation. That has been his life. How can you make somebody who has been down the line their shame? The person has gone through shame. They have gone through disgrace. They have done everything they cared. Whatever people thought and were laughing at them, they surmount everything and catapult themselves into becoming someone who is towering that the whole world can look at today. What more can you do? You think you're bringing that person down? You're just hurting yourself. In fact, what you are doing, you are destroying yourself. You know what it takes for you to proud in yourself of being bad? When people are looking for good image, you are happy in becoming a bad person. George Weah would never, ever buy in to your tricks. George Weah would never, ever buy in to your tricks. George Weah would never, ever buy in to your tricks. George Weah would never, ever buy in to your tricks. George Weah would never, ever buy in to your tricks. George Weah would never, ever buy in to your tricks. George Weah would never, ever buy in to your tricks. George Weah would never, ever buy in to your tricks. He would never, ever.
There's nothing this president cannot do to make sure that George Weah is out of the way so he can, the United Party can continue to maintain the presidency. There's nothing this president cannot do to make sure that George Weah is out of the way so he can, the United Party can continue to maintain the presidency. There's nothing this president cannot do to make sure that George Weah is out of the way so he can, the United Party can continue to maintain the presidency. There's nothing this president cannot do to make sure that George Weah is out of the way so he can, the United Party can continue to maintain the presidency. There's nothing this president cannot do to make sure that George Weah is out of the way so he can, the United Party can continue to maintain the presidency. There's nothing this president cannot do to make sure that George Weah is out of the way so he can, the United Party can continue to maintain the presidency. There's nothing this president cannot do to make sure that George Weah is out of the way so he can, the United Party can continue to maintain the presidency. There's nothing this president cannot do to make sure that George Weah is out of the way so he can, the United Party can continue to maintain the presidency. There's nothing this president cannot do to make sure that George Weah is out of the way so he can, the United Party can continue to maintain the presidency. But I can tell you, this is a bad example.
As enshrined in our Constitution, freedom of speech, assembly, and expression were not only preserved, but celebrated. There were no political prisoners or prisoners of conscience. I will remain actively engaged with the politics of the country as standard bearer and political leader of the Coalition for Democratic Change. I will remain actively engaged with the politics of the country as standard bearer and political leader of the Coalition for Democratic Change. I will remain actively engaged with the politics of the country as standard bearer and political leader of the Coalition for Democratic Change. I will remain actively engaged with the politics of the country as standard bearer and political leader of the Coalition for Democratic Change.
There's nothing this president cannot do to make sure that George Weah is out of the way so he can, the United Party can continue to maintain the presidency. There's nothing this president cannot do to make sure that George Weah is out of the way so he can, the United Party can continue to maintain the presidency. There's nothing this president cannot do to make sure that George Weah is out of the way so he can, the United Party can continue to maintain the presidency.
I will remain actively engaged with the politics of the country as standard bearer and political leader of the Coalition for Democratic Change. I will remain actively engaged with the politics of the country as standard bearer and political leader of the Coalition for Democratic Change. I will remain actively engaged with the politics of the country as standard bearer and political leader of the Coalition for Democratic Change.
There's nothing this president cannot do to make sure that George Weah is out of the way so he can, the United Party can continue to maintain the presidency. There's nothing this president cannot do to make sure that George Weah is out of the way so he can, the United Party can continue to maintain the presidency. There's nothing this president cannot do to make sure that George Weah is out of the way so he can, the United Party can continue to maintain the presidency. But I can tell you, this is a bad example.
George Weah would never ever buy in to your tricks. George Weah would never ever buy in to your tricks. George Weah would never ever buy in to your tricks. George Weah would never ever buy in to your tricks. George Weah would never ever buy in to your tricks. George Weah would never ever buy in to your tricks. George Weah would never ever buy in to your tricks. He would never ever.
I will remain actively engaged with the politics of the country as standard bearer and political leader of the Coalition for Democratic Change. I will remain actively engaged with the politics of the country as standard bearer and political leader of the Coalition for Democratic Change. I will remain actively engaged with the politics of the country as standard bearer and political leader of the Coalition for Democratic Change.
Before we could become journalists today, we are citizens. If there is no way that our country is safe, we cannot practice in our respective professions. When we are at war, pastors will not be respected to go to church to preach. When we are at war, medical doctors will not be able to go to hospitals except on a coercion or sanitary condition. When we are at war, lawyers will not be able to go to court to practice. That's why when you see these things happening, whether you are a lawyer, whether you are working a profession, you got to step down and protect your country so that that country will provide an avenue for you to be the kind of person that you want to be. And that's where we are now. What happened on yesterday was wrong. It's still wrong. And no matter what it is wrong. We are seeing things happening in this country and people are now seeing it as being right because their side is there. And these are things that we got to be stand up to be a patriot. You have to stand first on the side of the law because the politicians will go away. The regime will pass away, but your country will stay. The law will stay. Your patriotism vow will continue to stay on. And these are things that we got to stand up for. It doesn't matter how people feel, what kind of side you want to be on. We just got to speak to the truth, and that is very much important.
His Excellency, George Weah, President of Liberia. Our board noted that His Excellency's victory as the African Political Leader of the Year 2023 is a testament to his contributions to promoting peace, African culture and development, youth and sports development, and advancing Africa's agenda globally. It is also a recognition of his critical role in the infrastructural and socio-economic development of his country as well as his people-friendly policies. He has continued to advocate for peace and free and fair elections in the ECOWAS sub-region, and this was demonstrated by a show of statesmanship and iconic posturing by accepting electoral loss and congratulating the winner. While he arguably had options as a sitting president, he chose the path of honor, peace, and the defense of democracy. His emergence reaffirms our position that he has remained one of the continent's leading light, as he had continued to demonstrate great faith in the African project, promoting African dignity and helping to change the negative narratives about the continent.
To God Almighty, the creator and sustainer of the universe, the God who keeps watch over his people, the God who provides, the God who does everything uniquely in his almightiness for our benefit. He is the God. We're grateful. We acknowledge his presence hovering us, and we acknowledge your presence too. Thank you, all of you that have come on this holiday in Liberia, February 11, Armed Forces Day. Mohammed
J. Sharif, Jacob Town, St. Francis Community, Jeff Ginaway, Zedrick City, Grand Jita County, Emmanuel Braw, the birthday man. Happy birthday to you. Bless God for you. Celebrating Grand Star. Great. You are on from Minneapolis, Minnesota, the USA. The birthday man, Emmanuel Braw. Royal P. Rogers, Douala, Patricia Brown, ELWA Community, Rehab, Perry Slobart, New Jersey, USA. Thank you, Perry. Wish you the same. Waka Zodwa, Jipren Freeway, your residence, Clady Addison, Delaware, USA, Cogway Weeder, Kakata, Magibi County, Willem Hoff, Minnesota, USA, Plymouth, Augusta Johnson, Boys Town, Ocean View Community, Samuel Slavion, Johnsonville, Quebec Town, Charles Dible, Kings, where you are, Aaron Bowman, Stanley Bozo, Congress City, Augustine T. Musa, Samuel Kofi Woods Jr., Mantonian Son, VOA Junction, Willem Darius Willow, official spokesperson, Civil Rights Movement, Carwell, Vinicius Bar, New Crew Town, Claudette Paul, Jukonti Chie, Orita Jikla, Andrew T. Nangbe, Thumbs Up, community that's Carwell, Nathan Page, Jeremiah Labla, yes, Usman Saul, Eugene Jobo, Capital Bad Pants. All of you great people, the protocol so long. Rita Christine Heath, Massachusetts, USA. My dear sister Orita Sunderwood Choir, you are on. Good to have you on. Hope that you are faring well. All of you great people, we appreciate all of you. Thank you for coming on. The chairman, we can get started without bringing on the common citizen chairman, the chairman for life, the melting pot chairman, the reference point chairman, Roman Rico, Cannibal, Latu Pound, chairman, Block 13 Intellectual Center, District 13. All of you, I appreciate all of you great people. Thank you. Let's get started. Time is of the essence. We are giving out some dollars from our partners called Radio Entertainment Liberia. They are giving out to you through us 4,000 and then additional 4,000. That's 8,000. They are giving, you are playing for 4,000. That means only 4,000 you're playing for, but they will give you free 4,000 because you play. Isn't that a window of opportunity? Glorious, gracious one that you want to take advantage of. 4,000 free. I don't think in this Joseph Yamabwaka economy, anyone can look at you and just give you 4,000 free. Even the government officials themselves, they are complaining. We know that for a fact because we hear it from them every day. Then somebody who is not a government official is telling you, you got 4,000 to play, and then we'll give you 4,000 free, 8,000. You want to do just that? Dial star 799 star 24 hash. That's all. Star 799 star 24 hash. Play with, or you are depositing. You aren't playing. You are depositing 100 Liberian dollars. or 70 cents US, and then you have every right, every surety, every certainty, every relaxedness to withdraw because you have deposited. Only those who deposit withdraw. If you have no deposit or if you didn't deposit, you can withdraw. Deposit 100 Liberian dollars or 70 cents US, and then you put in the code. The code is star 799 star 24 hash. That's all. And then you check your account, you will see 4,000 Liberian dollars in it. Nothing more. That's all. Play as many times as you wish you can. Deposit 100 Liberian dollars or 70 cents US. And then you put in the code for withdrawal, star 799 star 24 hash. The King Support basket is still open. It's on to you. You stay having it, keep it. But we trust your ability. You know exactly what you are doing. Thank you for being so supportive of everything here at Kings 88.5. Truly, it is your station, as you have always said, because you have been supportive of it. And we urge you to do more. So the basket is there. The numbers are on the screen for drop in. The send wave 0555 885 885 0555 885 885. The local mobile money number 0777 017 885 0777 017 885. Let's focus on developments unfolding out of Liberia briefly, then we are back into Liberia. Around 200 United States troops expected in Nigeria in the coming weeks will not take part in combat operations and will focus instead on training and advisory roles. That's according to the Nigerian Military High Command. Nigeria's clarification follows remarks from a U.S. official that Pentagon plans to deploy personnel to support Nigerian forces battling Islamic militants. Nigerian's Defense Headquarters spokesperson, Major General Samala Oba, said U.S. personnel will provide technical training at various locations, but will not assume operational control. Nigerian forces retain full command authority and will lead all missions on sovereign territory. The announcement comes weeks after U.S. President Donald Trump ordered airstrikes on what he described as Islamic State targets in Nigeria. Angola's president, Joao Lourenço, who is also the current African Union chairperson, has called for an immediate ceasefire in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, following talks in Angola with DRC President Felix Tshisekedi. Eastern Congo has seen renewed fighting involving Rwandan-backed M23, despite ongoing diplomatic attempts. In a joint statement, Lourenço urged all parties to agree on a ceasefire date and accelerate the ceasefire verification mechanisms agreed upon in Doha in October last year. The statement was signed by Tshisekedi, Togolese President Faure Gnassingbé, and former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo, appointed respectively as AU mediator and facilitators of the DRC peace process. And Zimbabwe's cabinet has proposed constitutional amendments that will extend the presidential term and give parliament the power to elect the president rather than the voters. The ruling ZANU-PF party says the reforms are aimed at strengthening political stability and ensuring continuity in governance. If successful, the reforms could allow President Emerson Mnangagwa to remain in office beyond his current term, potentially extending his leadership until 2030. Critics argued the proposals could weaken democratic safeguards by limiting direct voter participation and concentrating power within Parliament. The amendments will now go before Parliament for debate and possible approval. If deemed a major constitutional change, the proposal could also see it require national referendum. Shigan Yenko is Zimbabwe BBC correspondent. He explains the reaction of the people there and the politicians.
Well, the reaction has been very vociferous. We've heard from opposition leaders, we've heard from lawyers, and we've heard from the general public who have rejected these proposals. They say that the government isn't seeking to amend the constitution, that they're trying to completely rewrite it without going to a referendum. Others have described this as politically destabilizing, even though the Justice Minister says that that this essentially is to create political stability within this country. And it really, and I think just to go back to where this all started, this is a relatively new constitution that was enacted in about 13 years ago. And one of the reasons why it was enacted was after Robert Mugabe, the leader, had been in power for over 20 years. And so the people of Zimbabwe overwhelmingly voted to introduce term limits of 2 5-year terms. And so there has been outrage at what is seen as an attempt to undermine this relatively new constitution.
And Shingai, we were there during those changes when the military ousted Robert Mugabe. The kind of enthusiasm that was on the streets, the sense of hope, has that all been dashed now? Are people seeing more of the same?
And, just as you were speaking of that introduction, talking about President Emerson Mnangagwa wanting to extend his term in office, to me, it really harkened back to the debates and the discussions that we were having under the former president, Robert Mugabe. And the reason why this 2013 constitution was enacted was to try to prevent that. And at the time, the lawyers had assured Zimbabweans that they were putting in ironclad provisions that would stop any future leader from trying to change the constitution. And one of those provisions was that if term limits were to be changed, they would have to go, that provision would have to go to a referendum. And also that the incumbent, the sitting president, would not be able to benefit from that. But what we've seen from this particular document, the proposals that were tabled before the cabinet yesterday, is this idea by the government that they don't need to go to a referendum, that they can just draft this and take this to a parliament where the ruling ZANU-PF party has 2/3 of majority. And so I think there's a lot of concern about what this means for Zimbabwe, what this means for the rule of law and democracy.
So what happens now? Would that be legally binding, even given that you have this constitution that had been called ironclad, as you say?
Well, what we're likely to see are legal challenges. And already when the government had announced that it would change the constitution, there is already a legal challenge, and the Constitutional Court has said that it will hear this case, and this case essentially wants to oppose and wants the Constitutional Court to strike down these efforts by the government. And so it really isn't clear what will happen. The Justice Minister yesterday said that they just need to scrub, in his own words, this document, and that it will be gazetted, and then it will be available for the public for a period of 90 days to submit their opinions and their observations. But this obviously is a very different process to an actual referendum where people would go out and vote. And so
Right.
and after that, then it will go before Parliament for debate.
The BBC Zimbabwe correspondent Shanghai Yonko explaining the reaction of the proposals coming from the executive of the Zimbabwean government. Africa, again, you hardly yet something of a democratic model that people can reference, institutions, country can reference. Instead, it is always someone striving to take onto himself everything along or with the backing of his cronies. No wonder why, no reason that Donald Trump in his first term will refer to Africa as, sorry, please accept that, but that is his direct code, shithole continent. I think it was a reference to greed, hypocrisy, and all of those things, political bigotry, staying on must be you and you. There should be nothing democratic, even though it should be portrayed and others should talk about it as being democratic. And you go on to stay as long as you want to be in power. At the close of the day, you die in the same power and cannot enjoy your post-president life. What good is staying in it ever so long and then you die in it? You can. Look at former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. She is enjoying her post-presidency. Look at former President George Weah. He is enjoying his post-presidency. And it is on to the former president to return. He could have held on to power, but that would not have signaled any democracy. Other African countries, they just comfortable, staying as long as they can. In Uganda, they have turned the governance structure there into a family structure, family dynasty. The president, his son, a wife, the daughter, everybody, they running things over there. Cameroon, as long as he thinks he can die in office, he prefers to die in office. 93 years old Paul Biya. And just look around. You hardly hear, with a day passing by, anything good of an African country. Thank God Almighty, former President George Weah added more than its spice to Liberia's democracy, took it to another level, a new dimension that the world credits Liberia for being a democratic culture, not because of Joseph Yema Boakai, not because of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, but Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is credited also giving her coming into the presidency, the reform, the exit, and then former president George Weah coming from the opposition into the presidency, and then bowing out at a time the whole world was skeptical with everything available to him as a president, seeing him conceding. Liberia is a democratic, standout African country, a towering democratic institution. Liberia can stand in the midst of any gathering, any African gathering, and boast of unique democratic tenets, because that pace taking it to a new dimension was initiated by former President George Weah, which the current president is breaking, turning, or fading out, that not respecting rights of people, trampling on freedom of speech, stifling freedom of association, bending freedom of assembly. And when those things are not happening, some of you who are not democratically or politically inclined, you think the country is stable. The country is stable, but the country is not democratic, and it affects the country. When you hear the international community withholding certain things, you'll think that they don't like that government. They like the government, but they see the government displaying dictatorial tendencies, which are undemocratic. So they prefer to put their money into a country that is showing more democratic maturity than the country that is peaceful yet stifle fundamental democratic principles. So you are excited, and when the government put, Unity Party put more all over the place, water cannons, and we displaying all kinds of guns, and then you say, yeah, no protest, yeah, the country remain peaceful. That is a mental irony. The country is not peaceful. The country is not peaceful. You may not have a fighting in your house, but once there is trampling on the rights of the occupants in the house, that house is at war. The house is not at peace. War is not only bullets coming from the gun and people moving here and there. War is any instability, any uneasiness, stifling democratic principle and fundamental rights. What we have presently is not a democratic culture. No. And just as I have always said, taking cue from these things, these African countries, let me remind you again, do not overlook these things. One of the reasons I bring these things, that you hear what is unfolding, because some of you don't have the time to follow global events or war news here and there from African perspective also. Some of you do, very many of you do, but some do not, especially those who don't have assets. So I thought to be sharing these things so that you know these are all political characteristics. It doesn't say that Liberia can introduce some of these tendencies that are inimical to the survival, stability, security of the country. Every African government is greedy. It takes an African president that is futuristic in his thought, like former President George Weah, to concede. How often do you see, talk about, read of African president conceding on a democratic note and turning power? No. You hear every day of extending the Constitution, extending constitutional term limits. You hear these jargons so that they stay. They know that they have a constitutional limit, so they call few cronies, get their support, and then parliamentarily they go and extend the tenure of that person because that person wants to stay. Look at the African continent. Look at most of the countries. It's either a coup, the person installs himself as the law and gospel, or the person is extending his tenure or changing the constitution so that he or she stays long in power. When there is an election, The entire atmosphere is radicalized militarily. You see military people all over, the police. There is summer arrest, summer execution, detention of opponents. Leading opposition figures are arrested, charged with treason, and all those things. You see them unfolding. It's because one man feels that he should be the only one to stay in power for as long as he wishes, and would not think that he or she is subjected to natural laws, that anytime he or she can die. Too many African presidents held on, and they die in office. They never enjoy life after the presidency. Life after the presidency gives you ample time to look back over your life, to look at some things where you made mistakes, where you can make amends. And then, once there is the constitutional provision for a return, as it is in the case of former President Weah, you enjoy your presidency. Simple. You don't need God to come to earth to explain that. It's as simple as that. When will Africa change? When will Africa change? But that's what it is for the continent. They say the dark continent of Africa. You can see why they call it dark continent. Today is holiday in Liberia, national holiday, Armed Forces Day. Nothing is happening from your perspective, but the Armed Forces Day celebration. I told you, I just thought that was going to happen, and it did. Mr. President showed up at the Barclay Training Center, as it is the custom, as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Liberia. Mr. President, for the second year running, was roll in a pickup, roll. If you watch the event from yesterday, I started using the word roll. It means to put a person in a moving van, and then it moves slowly. That slow movement is rolling. You are rolling the person. And the reason for the roll and slow rolling, because of the person's fragile health. So the person can walk normally. So you put the person in a moving van and you roll it, or the van is rolled. For the second year running, Mr. President was rolled. For the second year running, Mr. President was rolled to inspect the troops. What that means is, it is now confirmed that he is not going to do any work inspection for the years he will stay in power. He is not going to do any work inspection for the years he will stay in power. If Mr. President can be rolled for 2 full years, even though Mr. President has one of the most sophisticated medical teams, let's take it that way. By now, since they have started working on Mr. President, he should be not 100%, but we expect between 50 to 75% of vibrancy to walk, inspect the troops. If that would take 10, 15 minutes, no problem. But the commander-in-chief should move. 2 years running, Mr. President was ruled. So I can conclude that it is confirmed that Mr. President is not going to do any work inspection for the years he will be in power or he is in power. So let it now be clear. Let it now be clear that the president condition won't allow him to perform certain functions nationally, normally. Take it as I am saying it. This is what Mr. President and his people has provided us. That it is evidently, convincingly clear that Mr. President will not perform certain functions nationally, convincingly, or normally. Meaning, if it requires Mr. President walking this distance, walking this way, doing that, the people will tell him, no, we shortcut it. We're shorting it. So, as country, let us accept everything, the reality that Mr. President is frail. Mr. President is not in a good bill of health. Hence, everything that you see, shortcut, shorting, accept it. That is the condition. That is what we have. Please live with it. That's what it means. Did he say anything extra? No. Just the recruitment of 600 with emphasis on females. They want many women in the army. It means the army is short of good number in the military. What that means also, by the call, not many women are interested in joining the armed forces of Liberia. And that is scary. It was concerning, rather. It's concerning. If women are not interested in joining the army, there is a concern. Why women are not interested in joining the armed forces of Liberia? Then something, if it is not happening, but has happened somewhere, that has created that apathy, that they are not interested at all to join the military. And then Mr. President talked about other reforms. Let's see. Those are all talks. They brought in the Nigerian Chief of Staff as the orator. And the occasion was just like any ceremony. You couldn't sense that usual essence. You couldn't sense that aura that we've seen in the past of Armed Forces Day. In the past Armed Forces Day, you'll see it will attract tens of thousands of people. People will leave their houses to move in, to watch the military parade, the display of the weapons, of different things. People will just enjoy the atmosphere. Today, just like last year, just like a workshop. That's how it was. And listen, nobody attaches in or brings the occasion alive, give it that aliveness, then the commander-in-chief. When the commander-in-chief is cold, frail, and everything about the event is shorting to satisfy him, it takes away the value, the essence. because Mr. President is an accident in waiting at all times. So when he's at occasion, people are just skeptical. Almost everybody at the event, they are skeptical that something might happen. So instead of people being freely, relaxedly joyful, they are security by observation with the skepticism that he isn't in a good bill of health, anything going. So people are more concerned. So the essence, the value, it goes away. In the past, at this time, I'm on the air 3 o'clock. It's just like the Armed Forces Day celebration just starting. You see that alive now. You see your people everywhere. But this one, even the celebration, the country's Independence Day last year, look how it was. Just like a workshop. Just like few people sitting in a room for a workshop. That's how it was. The essence, the value, the morale was not available. But they had it. So a deity is that person with supernatural powers. A deity is a god. A deity is that person with a supernatural power that can cause pain, relieve pain, subject to nothingness, bring back to life, kill. Just the person can do anything within his or her almightiness. A deity is a god. A god is that person with divine supernatural powers, a principality. Traditional ruler is a god. Whichever way they call them, elders or traditional elders or traditional chief or whatever, they are deity, they are God. They use supernatural power, and it is based on that people believe them and go to them. People believe in their power. They do not believe in the person, but they believe in the power that the person has. When a person goes to a medicine man, it's not because they like the medicine man, it's because they believe in the power of the medicine man. When a person goes to God, it's not because they love God, but it's because they believe in the power of God. So you have deities all over the place. Deity means God. You have deities all over the place. Anything that you do by yourself, of yourself, from yourself, not needing any external power, you are a deity. Yeah. And in such a situation, you expect the deity to perform if he's affected by something or something is affecting him. Ironically, we've heard of long-time traditional leader, ruler, Zanzankawa, succumbing to illness, leg amputated, bedridden, ravaging diabetes, or diabetes ravaging his body. Where are the powers? Where are the powers? For years, the traditional ruler reigned in this country. openly said some things, threatening. Nationally, open, made some statements, some threats. That president got afraid. Ministers individually got afraid. Religious leaders, pastors, bishops, apostles, prophets, they got afraid. This man, people were afraid of him because of what he portrayed of himself within his deity. He was almighty in himself. Today, he's bedridden, leg amputated. So where is the power? That's why you need to trust no other name but the name of God. You need to believe in no other name but the name Jesus. There is no power greater. There is no deity than the deity God. Every other person is subject to natural laws, but God, Jesus, not subject to natural laws. I'm not telling you to stop running to all of your traditional people. I'm only telling you that there's only one person that has all of the powers. Only one person that cannot get sick, cannot suffer, or contract diabetes or any other illness. His leg cannot be cut. He cannot be bedridden. But he does every other thing to every other person. The only name that has brought people from the grave back to life and subjected people to grave. The only person that look at when just the doctors have given up and say, we've done, and they're about to place the body in the body bag, and there is life. The only name that scientists went to the moon checking behind, doubted, after several years came back and confessed that truly there exists God. That God who reigns from eternity to eternity, not bedridden God. The Ministry of Justice came out with something. They saying the one organization. They say everybody in the country using sarin. Everybody in the country, they say they are using sarin. Sarin is the one, what they call sarin. Sarin. The Ministry of Justice say no. They say they observe growing misuse of syringes by unauthorized persons for purposes or usage unrelated to emergency response, unlawful clearing of traffic, and the assertion of improper rule priority, that it is a direct violation of the vehicle and traffic law, and it undermines public safety, traffic discipline, and credibility of the legitimate emergency service or services. The Ministry of Justice also said the installation and use of syringes on motor vehicles, car, within Liberia is hereby stopped. It is wrong. It is against Title 38 of the Liberian Code of Laws revised, Chapter 6, Section 6.21 of the Vehicle and Traffic Law. The Ministry of Justice also said only authorized police vehicles, meaning not all police vehicles, only the ones that are authorized. Fire service vehicles like the fire service trucks, emergency ambulance, and other duly designated emergency or official vehicles may be equipped to use syringes. The Ministry of Justice went further to say that the use of syringes is restricted to lawful emergency situations, response to firearm alarms, emergency calls, pursuit of suspected offenders, or other legitimate emergency operations. Hold on. The confusion coming. MOJ also said syringe privileges are not attached to public office. Syringe privileges are not attached to public office, rank, status, or position. I think there where the confusion is going to come from, the uneasiness, or certain people will be thinking that given my position, I need an escort. I need the escort to clear the way. And normally in Liberia, when the people hear escort or when they hear the siren, they're off the road. Some people are going to have concern about that. So who are those, according to the Ministry of Justice? They are not to use siren. They are not ministers, legislators. Rachel Kuhn, the speaker, is a legislator. Yombli Kanga Lawrence, pro tem, is a legislator. Deputy Speaker Thomas Fowler is a legislator. How they can say is that when you're ready to hear legislator. Oh, St. Andrews on the holiday. I can enjoy the legislator. So I'm saying it the way it is. Legislator. Legislator. Judges, heads of agencies, political appointees, private security escorts, and private citizens are not authorized to install or use syringes unless their vehicles fall within the categories as provided by the law. Meaning, Rachel Kuhn is not allowed to use syringe. The only way Rachel Kuhn can use syringe when the law say deputy speaker or the speaker can use syringe. The law they quoted the Liberian Code of Law Revised, the Vehicle and Traffic Law. They quoted Title 38, Chapter 6, Section 6.21. They say unless this provision say the speaker can use syringe, the deputy speaker can use syringe, legislators can use syringe, ministers can use syringe. That's the only time they must use it. But once there is no mention of them, the law gives them not the right to use syringe. The speaker should not use syringe. The deputy speaker should not use syringe. The pro tem should not use syringe. That's what they say in their statement. This is not King's 88.5 statement. That's their own statement. Ministers, legislators, judges, heads of agencies, political appointees, private security escorts, and private citizens are not authorized to install or use sirens unless their vehicles fall within the categories provided by law. The Justice Ministry said it is strictly enforcing. Another confusion. It is strictly enforcing the vehicle and traffic law and will not hesitate to penalize violators, to punish them. So they're saying that a Richard Coon vehicle is not covered, and Richard Coon is using siren going home as regime speaker. They will arrest him. They're also saying if Yobli Kanga Lawrence is going home in her capacity as pro tem of the Liberian Senate, she is using siren, and she ought not to use it. They will arrest her. Deputy Speaker Thomas Farah going home or coming to work, and he ought not to use sirens, and he using siren, they will arrest him. We won't see that. We won't see it. You know why I explain it this way so you understand good? Because the whole thing, that joke, that fun. Sometimes the Justice Ministry, when they get nothing to do, they just leave it. Just sit down, collect your money. Because they think that complete fun, joke. You can look at the speaker vehicle, stop it. Who you arrest? Assume the speaker is coming to work, and there is a traffic jam, and the siren is on to make way. What police officer will go and stand in front of that vehicle? So who you arresting? You arrest the speaker. Can you arrest the speaker for that? They say they will penalize, they will punish violators once a year. Anyone caught installing, operating, or using siren against the law, the actions will be taken. Hear what they said. These are the actions. 1, citation, meaning they will call you. Citation is the same as summon or request. Citation, that the word they put there, I'm reading a word for war. I don't take any word from there. That means put citation there at the word. So you can say that it's station. Citation. Seizure of unlawful equipment. I know when it will become unlawful if they're using siren and they arrive, the police hold them. It is established that they are not lawful. They are using unlawful material, so they will take that. 1C. Unlawful equipment. Fines. Fine. You will find a violator, the person who is using siren, not to use siren, and you're using siren. Justice Ministry say they will fine you. That one of the punishments. How much you will fine? We know, but who you will fine? Then they say prosecution. They will carry you in court for violating the law. Then they say any other punishment according to the law. Then they concluded this way: they put our men in trouble. They put our men outside in trouble. Our men will never attempt. May you say that you can put your character. Oh, they put our men in trouble. Our men outside. They say law enforcement authorities across Liberia have been instructed to enforce this mandate without exception. That means don't compromise it. The person begging, don't listen. You arrest the deputy speaker car for using siren. Don't listen to him. All the things he will be talking, don't listen. Make sure you report the matter, and then what they're saying. So Then say the speaker, the pro tem, and the deputy speaker exempt. We've known the serene to be used only by the president. So years back, when the people hear that serene, you hear by, oh, the president come here, the president come here. That's how people would know the president is coming, by that. It was not known for vice president. It wasn't known for speaker, deputy speaker pro tem. But everybody started using it. So much so, the very police people, their statement here from the Justice Ministry, that for nothing statement, that motto, nothing. You know why? Listen, nobody in this country is a lawbreaker, reckless lawbreakers, than the very people who you call enforcers. Stand outside, get outside, you see. The same people who will say 3 persons should not get on the bike, you see, they will take a bike, 1 person on the bike with the driver, 2 police officers will get on that bike. Just raise a concern, they will insult you. The police officers that are arresting Keke for taking side piece, a police officer will join there. When you raise your voice, they will insult. Everywhere you just see the violation, they are the main violators. You're traveling, there is a traffic jam. Everybody is waiting for the traffic to clear. So one police officer or one government minister or one DEA, so-called big man, or somebody from any one of the government agencies will post everything on. We are. Only when the person off, when they all that traffic jam, then they post the siren off because he or she wanted to pass, or they have a minister in the car, or a deputy minister or assistant minister. Emmanuel Macron, president in the United States, the man car got stuck in the traffic. Then say president, man go down and walk. That is why you should have a developed country. So when you go in this way, you know that there's going to be a traffic jam and you will not get at the Capitol building on time. You use alternative routes. That's what development is. You have options. You should have options in everything. This one, the beginning, I can say that another Vlad will go nowhere. That's the end of it. Nowhere. Then let's get to you now to have your say, but let's read some of the comments before we go. Those are what we have for today. National holiday, dry day in Liberia. There you go. The country, yeah. Our men are sitting down there too. The men, the guys at the door, yeah, man. Damn, the men are not economically inclined. I'm not saying this day, the holiday is wrong. No, this one is right. But there are other holidays they need to repeal. They're not necessary. Why did they creating, coming out with bills to create new town, create new district? You look at some of those things that are obsolete, that are archaic. They have no modern essence. You take them from there. That is the essence of legislature. Look at what is right now, what isn't right today, what had been there from Rock of Ages, with the passage of time, does not have any essence into modernism, that it should not be there. You move to squash that. But year in, year out, the people can see all those holidays, they leave them there. Yet they're creating, they will call the media. I have proffered a bill to create a district in Jokoloken, statutory district. Oh, the same way you can create a district in Jokoloken, the same way you can move to persuade your colleagues to take out some of those laws that are obsolete and let everything conform with modernism. We're going forward. We're not going backward. Those things that you had that have always kept you back, you have to do away with them. Armed Forces Day, yes. It can stay on, but there are other holidays. Yeah, we have March 15 coming. Another holiday again, they say Decoration Day. March 15. And I say, March 15. What they can say, second Wednesday, eh? It's going to be another holiday. Dry day. What are you doing with that? What are you doing with that? To go clean grave after 1 year, you go clean grave. Does that make sense? After 1 year, you go clean grave. Do you need 9 months after to clean grave? Let's read some of the comments and then we take your call and then we are out. Victoria Ade say, this is how it was when we had the law enforced. Since the war, the rebel behavior is everywhere. No enforcement of traffic laws. People have anyhow in Liberia, which is very dangerous. Right, Vic, you're right. A Valley Koran said, I don't see it can happen, but I want to see. I can say it can happen, but I want to see. It will be very difficult. Let region speaker come in with, but you people have seen the man moving. The man can move with serene. Emmanuel Broad said, it also takes away the flair, fanfare, and humor from the ceremony. Yes, he's referencing the Armed Forces Day celebration. Moses Wojlo, African leaders are power grid. Most African leaders, Ivory Coast, Cameroon, Sierra Leone, Togo, and other African countries, the masses are crying and suffering in their hands. Right. Tobasi said, moral insanity. It's morally insane to hear Liberians attacking the Supreme Court justice. What? No, I didn't mention that. You don't bring out your perfect key thing here. What you hear me talk is what you comment on. Philip Nangwe, how will the people go celebrate Armed Forces Day? The AFL is breaking their homes. Right, that's true. Paris Lobot, Bukari is unfit to inspect troops without using the pickup truck. Emmanuel Bro on the Armed Forces Day. Is this how President JMB will constantly inspect the troops during Armed Forces Day anniversaries? What an embarrassment. Yeah. That, you know. All right. So let's go. Let's take your calls. Have your say. National holiday. 0772 2399 33 0886 30 44 97. The women's line 0777 980375. Hello.
Hello.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. Sam Andrew. I'm calling from Grand Bassa. I'm James here.
Let's hear you from Grand Bassa, James.
Yeah. You know, we know that it will not be fun because it didn't start from the starting. So it will not be fun. The way the regime, you see it's fine. All the military, they shining. You see the dress code. They used to go to the army pier and buy the uniform. Everything neat on them. You can't see it no more.
Yeah.
Because the election commission, the people they're looking at, they're not checking the citizens that coming to come register they want to be president. They're not looking at them. Their background, they're not checking it. That what will keep suffering. Because you know the man, because you spend the money living in a community, you feel that Liberian man, you think you go in there. So that what will keep suffering. Will keep suffering until we see the citizens of the country. Thank you, Baba.
All right. Have a nice holiday. Hello. You went off, Chief. Hello. Yes, good afternoon. Move away from the Hatay shop so everybody understands you.
Yeah, see, I move on the noise because the accident I hear why you see that why people acting on. All the things you say, oh man, about the police director, the rest, the people are black. No, the people can play all like great people. That kind of poor. Anything they can say for nothing. Nothing will happen in the country.
So you're arguing in a Hatay shop. You're following the show in a Hatay shop. You're following the show in a Hatay shop because you say you're arguing there.
Yeah, for the program right in West Square. I read that let's say to the SAS. I put everybody looking to your daughter and I saw now everybody stopping now on now in the Hatay shop. Because the opposite the family working. The opposite are black. So we're working at the argument right here. So the thing is saying that the thing is saying that we the Liberian people will know. Why they put in the country who are already they put who are the kind of power. They will say be fool you and say they can't finish. Think for a program. Let it go ahead. One day tomorrow we think for a program.
Okay, I'll keep intellectualizing well. Hello.
Good afternoon, Mr. Andrews.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Andrews. I'm Spencer Mohammed, and I call from Akoko Corner, down Coast Spoon Hill, Western Community. Mr. Andrews, thank you very much. Mr. Andrews, you know what prompted that release for the Justice Ministry?
No.
The reason is simple. Yesteryears, when you guys are in power today, when they were in opposition, they criticized the use of sarin. But today, every vehicle that passes in the street of Monrovia gets sarin. So it's like they are overwhelmed, and the shame is getting them to come up with this fancy excuse. But how far will it go? You guys are just trying to save another face. That's why they are coming up with another chicanery. Because everything that was criticized yesterday is what they are celebrating today. Mr. Andrews, this has now become a complete embarrassment for our country. How come a president who is supposed to inspect the guard of honor will always be using vehicle? In my mind, it tells us that the president is incapacitated and he needs to make a way.
Spencer.
Yes, sir.
One line. Give me a year that you ever experienced that in Liberia.
Nothing. That's what I'm saying. Since I was born until today, I'm 51 years of age. I have never seen a president on a vehicle to inspect the guards of honor. He always inspect the guys where he would give his righteous salute and encourage the gallant men to be gallantry in exercising their duty. But today, what we are experiencing is another disgrace and disasters. But this is Liberia. All the advocates yesteryears are silent, no longer hearing the Liberian Council of Church. The religious communities, they are not talking because they are in bed with this government. This is where we are, and this too is Liberia. Thank you very much for always giving us the opportunity to make our voice on national issue. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Spencer Mohammed. Hello. Madam.
Hello, Sir Andrew.
Yes.
This is my calling from Spaceship Bronco. Sir Andrew, since our boy was born right in Monrovia here, I can remember when they say armed forces. Sir Andrew, when you were here, you know I used to carry on?
No.
6 o'clock. That 24 gun salute. When we hear the fire, boom, then we know the soldiers are ready to march or running. Seriously running to go see the soldiers and march.
But you heard you heard ending today?
Where?
So but you were sleeping. 6 o'clock you were still sleeping. So you
I can't even sleep up to 5.
So you hear that?
I live it right at State Street.
Oh, you hear that? Then do the how you call it? You said 21 gun salute.
24 gun salute.
So
they used to fire him. Boo, boo. Used to sound like I cannot. They used to shoot. Then we the kill running, and we used to enjoy the president going from troop to troop. For how many troops that Liberian soldier get that our president can walk to them and you have to run before he gets back. Liberia we inside. My first time seeing the other thing here. My first time. They can't even get a serious view. They can't even get a serious view, Andrew.
Yeah,
we used
that's
to
true.
enjoy them. Yeah. So I don't know with the Terrain Uber that they just wasting their time because
to sit, it means connotatively the man is, impaired. So the man is now, physically fit. That is, what the Constitution is referring to as incapacitation. So the man is incapacitated. Clearly, if that was a serious country, why not will not be president? Because he lacks the capacity, whether it's connotatively or it's physically. The man is weakling. He needs to essay the presidency. If our lawmakers were serious, they were impeached in a long time. So the man is right. The man, they got a place for impeachment if they were serious now. Well, I'm not serious country. That is what we are what we are.
All right. Thank you. All right. Hello.
Yeah, I'm Nicholas Kofa calling from Ghana. What we are seeing are 2 years now. I know that the next coming year, it's probably later in the Ambe Bear.
You later you what did the later in?
You later in the Ambe Bear.
What they call the Ambe Bear?
They have the camp bear what they can use in the war front. The army bear.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what they will use to carry around. Because now you will not be able to sit down or to send in the car. Thank you.
All right, Chief. Hello. Good afternoon.
Under the street in Lower Johnsonville.
Change your location. You are cracking.
Yeah.
Just walk away from where you are. You are cracking. Your line is cracking.
Oh, are you getting me now?
Let's try it.
Okay. This is an unfortunate government that Liberia has experienced since 1847. It is quite unfortunate that the government that came on the matter of rescue, the hair cannot walk to inspect 500 soldiers. Then how are you going to rescue 5.2 million people? See, the army, I think the guys in power need to take these things into consideration that just like their hair is physically challenged. And the House of Legislature also needs to take cognizance of that the president is incapacitated because he cannot perform your duty. That's not our law. When the president fails to execute his or her duty, the call for impeachment. This president must go because we cannot continue to live in a society where our image, more especially when it comes to the celebration of our military and that some of them are guardian men and women, where the entire world will be observing, they will put the president in pickle. Just a few group of military, he cannot inspect these people by walking. Who are you going to rescue? So today we are going to change the rescue mission name to a physically challenged mission. And lastly, to the Justice Ministry, I think they need to really be serious. And that issue they came out with the putting restriction on Sharia. I don't know how they're going to do it. We got covering it. Motorcyclists and the keke rider, all of them are using Sharia. So I don't know how they're going to really implement that particular situation. These guys need to really be serious and forget about those issues that are not necessary to the Liberian people and focus on a major issue. They need to elevate their thinking horizon. So these guys came to power, they are just carrying on and try ever make.
Okay, Chief. Hello.
Hello, Sam.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much for the program. The program is very interesting. We are praying to God about to bless and protect. I'm Orlando Waba. I'm calling from Tiboro Johnson. We want for God to direct our and lead us through. Life as a whole, life will not be sweet. But at least majority will enjoy. Even those that are behind Jesus. And everybody will enjoy. There are people who are near Jesus. There are people who are near Jesus. Paul and Peter. Paul and John Andrew. There are people that Jesus uses them as attackers. But people are enjoying also. We pray to God that God will strengthen us, God will guide us, protect us, give us a leader that will lead us through. And like, bro, one day we'll enjoy and also celebrate our leaders. Thank you very much.
Hello. Hello. Good afternoon.
Hello, Mr. Andrew.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, calling from Freeport. Johnson. George, we are chicken soup. The Armed Day, we know that we enjoy ourselves during those days. But now, the Armed Day, just like a boss call. You know, no boss call, I put together and say, I was looking at today. I was too shameful. Looking disgraceful. I think on the day when we are moving, on Armed Day, when you can move. Now, in a genuine way. Yeah, but I saw him in the paper, I was expecting, but I couldn't see and say, but when I even to see inside the paper, wow. So I don't know how to drink Armed Day. None of where else I'm feeling, but I know why I took myself to do that. I said free copy.
You didn't see the president?
No, for me to see inside was because they put it down more than the train.
So what was the position of the bodyguards you observed?
I observed that the position was taken by the president. You were not even able to show a real face to the people. You were blocking him. We who went to witness the program said were not seeing it clear. It was looking so embarrassing. That's why I spent my money going there today. Because some of us, we fear job, we want no program, we have to go there to see for ourselves so that when we talk what we see. Yeah, that one can carry some of us there.
All right, Chief.
So, and for us, Sari Bene is talking. My mother will get Sari. So I think my mother will not wrong.
They will arrest you.
Yeah, but I think so because it can't move out of Sari.
All right, Chief. All right, have a nice holiday. Hello.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
That's my best.
Yeah.
The one I want to do. So much fact and my the paper coming that paper is my way. I want to second time with the paper. Well, last year, remember, e-paper. Hello?
Yeah, listening.
Yeah. Why must be e-paper? They are in the paper with the poor was salary too. As a president, we inside. Yes, paper for inside with inside. The man see. He not get free. He put the block behind. Why? So thank you, Oman. That one the poor will want for all to be request every year. After all, be the fuck paper. Yes? After all, the paper. Who can hear? So that way, clearly, he hear the sound. He hear the sound. No, I can't hear the sound. For mass, my husband has soya man.
Your husband was soya man or that soya man?
My husband was soya man. That soya man. When after the one I go to retire him. My husband was soya man. I behind me. Anybody.
So that time your husband was soya man, you used to go to the barrack for Armed Forces Day celebration.
Yes.
Eh?
Yeah, when they start coming, they go to bring new food for the people. Every year they can bring different food for them. It's like one can pass it around. New. They can supply them for the opposite they can reach.
But they wanna in new clothes today. Oh.
They eat new clothes. I never see someone eat paper before they can come.
Wow. You not see trouble in paper.
No, someone eat paper.
You see trouble in paper.
No.
You not see dough in paper.
Yeah, I don't see none of that. Well, you can stand. I see the say of it that is sanity, they put that down.
Yeah, but all the people now, my best, all the people they were not sick. The people say the president is not too well. He's ill at the reason they put in people.
They know they're not well. Because they want property in the city all around. What they must be going through my husband and soya man anybody. Yeah? Yeah. They start coming, yeah. Thank you.
All right, Papa. Say, have a nice holiday. Enjoy your day. Hello.
Good evening, Sam Andrew. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank God for life. And you?
My name is Don. I call you from Bound City in my country.
Let's hear you from Nima.
No bad news here. Fine. You know, for three unfortunate days now, I've seen a screen. I, as a security personnel, guide for the Academy 2016. My first unfortunate parade management paraded as old as she was. To my utmost surprise now, I've seen the 42-year-old and more experienced, president coming out and parading in car the screens. China does it, but China have large manpower, military. So that's the reason you see, the military themselves in Labrador, the platoon they carry over there, not more than 5. If you put police, immigration police, DA, fire service, and other apparatus, that line can reach 25. So our partner is going to walk on that line again. Anyway, this is Labrador. Thank you.
But you know the president, don't you?
Brother, I know him.
Yeah.
I know him to be President Buakana.
Yeah, I mean, you know his condition now. Why the guys put him in a pickup to roll him? That it is justified.
Same way, let's just wait for 2029. She will come on.
Okay, Chief. So how your holiday going, man? You enjoying your holiday? It's good, isn't it?
No, I drink my power.
I know, eh? Yeah, that is, man. Enjoy yourself. Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon, Samaju.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm good as always. Thank God for life.
Okay, Samaju, this is Mohammed Dondo Fufana Jr. But I joined a conversation from the Japan freeway. Samaju, I want to appreciate you. You always enlighten Liberian people. I always admire your show each time. Sometimes, before you come to the studio, I always on Kings FM. So Samaju, sometimes Liberian people, this is why we told them yesterday, say, this thing is old. This man is old. How can you do this to the people 2 different times? What other medication using that what our country money for his medication. Still he can work to salute our people. It's so frustrating, Mr. Maju. Thank you. This is what we pour ourselves to. Thank you very much for enlightening Liberian people.
Thank you for coming on tour. Have a great, nice holiday. Enjoy yourself on this 11th day of February 2026. Holiday, national holiday. The guys enjoying themselves around. Okay, so let's have this break, man. Let's have this break. Then we get to former president, global icon, standard bearer, Congress for Democratic Change, George Weah, returns to the presidency 2029. Let's have this break.
Two leaders walking different lives. One leads with love, the other spite. George and Joseph both stand so clear. One brings hope, one brings fear. Joe's way he rules with gentle hands, lifts the weak and understands. Every soul gets equal chance. Compassion flows in his advance. When the people need him near, he steps down to dry their tears. Plays with kids and helps the old. His warm heart can't be sold. Oh, Joe's way leads with love so true. Every day his care shines through, while the other spreads the pain. Joseph Boker brings the storm and rain. Joseph Boker brings the storm and rain. Joseph Boker rules with hate and lies, laughs as hungry children cry, treats his people like they're dirt, leaves them bleeding, leaves them hurt. When the nation needs his aid, he just watches while it falls. Mocks their pain with cruel delight. Devil dressed in leader's might. Oh, chose where leads with love show true. Every day his care shines through. While the other spreads the pain. Joseph Boca brings the storm and rain. And rain.
Former President George Weah returns to the presidency 2029. Before we get into that, please listen to this sensitization.
The people's curse in Africa. The problem isn't the leader, it's the people. That's the truth Africa has avoided for too long. We love to shout change every election, yet our hearts remain the same. We expect new results from the same broken mindset. We remove one man and replace him with another molded from the same soil of greed, ignorance, and impatience. From Nigeria to Kenya, from Zambia to South Africa, from Ghana to Congo, the story repeats like an old drumbeat that never changes its rhythm. Africa doesn't suffer from a lack of leaders. It suffers from a lack of citizens who think. We treat politics like a football match. We wear party colors like jerseys and scream for our team to win, not for our nation to rise. We celebrate thieves because they come from our tribe. We defend failures because they share our tongue. And when the country falls apart, we act shocked, as if we didn't vote for the very hand that now chokes us. We say we want change, but we want it fast, instant like coffee. We want overnight success without discipline, without sacrifice, without time. But no real change grows overnight. It takes seasons of sweat, pain, and patience. Even the best leader cannot build in a land where citizens destroy faster than they repair. You cannot plant mangoes and expect oranges. And yet, that's the curse of our continent. We build illusions and call them dreams. We fall for promises that sound sweet, ignoring the bitter medicine of truth. Politicians know this. That's why they lie. Lies sell faster than truth because truth demands work. Truth offends the lazy, it exposes the comfortable. Democracy, as we practice it, has become a theater of deception, a system designed to enslave the very minds it promised to free. The ballot has become our new chain. Every few years, we line up to vote, not for vision, but for faces. Not for progress, but for revenge. We think replacing a man will replace our condition. But the real prison is not State House. It's the mind of the African voter. Look around. Every African country repeats the same cycle. Corruption, outrage, elections, hope, disappointment, then silence. We blame presidents for potholes, but refuse to pick up trash outside our homes. We curse the government for unemployment, but celebrate shortcuts and fraud. We expect heaven from leaders while living like devils in our own small spaces. And yet the truth remains. No leader can save a people unwilling to save themselves. Real change begins when citizens grow up. When they read, think, question, and work. Not just when they complain. When they build communities before building slogans. When they understand that government is not a savior, but a reflection of the people. Africa doesn't need more elections. It needs continuity, accountability, and citizens who act like owners, not spectators. The greatest revolution is not in the streets, it's in the mind. The day Africans stop waiting for rescue, that will be the day we rise. Until then, we remain trapped, not by bad leaders, but by our own illusions. The enemy is not at the top. The enemy lives within us. And until the African changes his question and work, not just when they complain. When they build communities before building slogans. When they understand that government is not a savior, but a reflection of the people. Africa doesn't need more elections. It needs continuity, accountability, and citizens who act like owners, not spectators. The greatest revolution is not in the streets, it's in the mind. The day Africans stop waiting for rescue, that will be the day we rise. Until then, we remain trapped not by bad leaders, but by our own illusions. The enemy is not at the top. The enemy lives within us. And until the African changes his mind, no constitution, no election, no foreign aid will ever set him free.
Let's go on this side with this one. Very good. Nice one. Nice piece of advice. As we head into 2029, you guys couldn't have come at the right time to start conscientizing the people. Let's go this way.
I will remain actively engaged with the politics of the country as standard bearer and political leader of the Coalition for Democratic Change. I will remain actively engaged with the politics of the country as standard bearer and political leader of the Coalition for Democratic Change. I will remain actively engaged with the politics of the country as standard bearer and political leader of the Coalition for Democratic Change. I will remain actively engaged with the politics of the country as standard bearer and political leader of the Coalition for Democratic Change.
Thank you very much, sir, for that assurance. Right. We are convinced you are a man of your word. You are consistent. You never break your word whenever you release it. So we believe that to be evidently true, that you will be fully engaged, and you are fully engaged with the activities leading up to 2029. And you are that character. You are the lone political heavyweight that they don't want in the raids. And you, no doubt, remain resolute of heading into 2029 and winning 2029. George Weah returns to the presidency 2029. I want to share with you a piece written by a Liberian. I thought to share this with you because most of what we've been talking about, the essential ingredients in Liberian politics, and why you should fix yourself or get fixed. But that fixation aids, not that you just relax, 2029 coming, we vote them out yet. You ought to say that, but you ought to match that with action, because 2029 is supernatural. It is not natural, it's supernatural. Man cannot postpone it, man cannot fast forward it. It is set by God. In the fullness of time, it comes to pass. But everybody is in natural time, natural world. Get ready to face the future. It is that future that former President George Weah is focusing on along with his people. Now, the Liberian culture is such that development is key, equally personality is key. So the two go together. This Liberian, whom I'm about to introduce, did pen a unique political piece that probably would serve as opener for the people on the other side, but it is a public document now, so no matter what, they have to hear it. But that is the culture in Liberia. The people on the other side have always said that President Joseph Yema Boakai can turn Liberia into heaven, it would still not give him 2029. You think I'm sounding comical? But I'm being honest because the reality presents that. If you know the culture, you can make announcements how you can think Liberia, love Liberia, be Liberia, but you have to look at the past. There were people who said more than that. There were people who came out, they initiated developments, they put money to the floor, they did a lot more. They were 100% convinced that given their practical investment, meaning development, they were sure of getting an election that they had wanted, only for the people to go on the other side, personality. If you are a unity party person and you think that you are convinced that President Boakai is doing well, may I say to you that President Joseph Yeoman Boakai Sr. can turn Liberia into heaven. It would never, ever, never, ever give him 2029. Again, President Joseph Yeoman Boakai Sr. can turn Liberia into heaven. It would never, ever give him 2029. The signs are convincing. The reasons are evident enough. I've talked about it. When you hear me say that, I'm talking about just two things. Two things. I came across this by accident, and I thought that, oh, look, come on. But then we are thinking the same way. We're thinking in the same direction. We observing. It looked that we have the same political lenses. So I said, okay, but then I can share it with our people. Here is it. Two essential factors play in politics, especially Liberian politics, our politics. Our culture is such that when you think the people are for you because you build road, you put street lights up, and you do a lot more, so they're going for you. No. President Boakai can turn this country into heaven. It would not give him 2029. Samson Wule did a very unique, insightful piece from where he sits in the United States. And I thought to stretch it because we are on the same political wavelength with our political reasoning. And those two essentials that I always talk about, he highlighted them. Here is it. Listen, he said in his piece, our beloved Vice President Kun, you are a living witness to the fact that former President George Weah carried out tangible development across all counties, not some, not few, all counties, with Nimba standing at the top of the list. Yet, despite these visible projects, voters in Nimba County overwhelmingly rejected him. Their choice was not about the roads or the schools, including the school that was dedicated last year, but was shaped by loyalty to you and the late Senator Prince Yomi Johnson. Now, in the Southeast, you are preparing to rehabilitate muddy and dusty roads. But it is fair to then tell the people to reject their own because of that. Shouldn't the Southeasterners also be loyal to their own, just as others have been loyal to theirs? Take Lofa, for example. After more than 40 years, citizens could not point to a single major initiative by President Joseph Boakai. After more than 40 years, citizens, meaning the people of Lofa County, could not point to a single major initiative by President Joseph Yema Boakai. Yet, when the election came, they voted overwhelmingly for him over George Weah, who paved the streets and even built a large town hall in Foya, Lofa County. Their decision was not about development. It was about Joseph Boakai, their identity, their interest. Development is indeed important, but loyalty and identity shaped choices just as much. And when the time comes, the Southeast will stand by their own. When the time comes, the Southeast will stand by their own. When the time comes, the Southeast will stand by their own. And they must, because when George Weah was in power, his achievements were downplayed. Liberians' mind was manipulated to see development as irrelevant to electoral choices and personality. With all the tangible developments he carried on, you all made him look like a demon. Today, some of the very projects his government initiated and funded are being dedicated by this administration of Joseph Yema Boakai. He also left projects that were 50, 60, and 70% done, which are being downplayed by this administration. You guys are downplaying them because you all want to complete them closer to 2027, 2028, and 2029, so it can appear as new projects initiated by you. But the Liberian people are not blind. But the Liberian people are not blind. They know the truth. They know that George Weah administration initiated and funded the RIA road. They know it was the George Weah administration that negotiated with the Chinese government to have that overhead pass that is under construction. They know everything, and they will respond in due time. They know the developments across the country, which are enormous to name in this piece, but just a few. Again, the people of the Southeast know their own, know their personality. It is not the developments that they care, but the people know their own, and they will respond in due time. Liberia's politics is personality over development. Unity Party is living with the illusion that they will beat George Weah with development 2029. Time will tell, and time will prove me right. Insightful piece couldn't have been written as it was by Samson Woolen. And truly, that's what we've been telling you. All of those factors play. You are not convinced that the people do not know. You are convinced that they know that former President Weah did more than unprecedented developments because they are available. They are not invincible. They know. And during the campaign, because they know that we did or carry out development beyond human description in this country. So if you watch the 2023 campaign, it was not, they did not campaign on anything like that. They avoided that. They avoided you asking any question, raising any concern. They knew that significant progress had already been made by former President George Weah developmentally in that category. So they shifted the argument and laid more emphasis on drug. George Weah is drugging our country, our children. He will bring drug into the country. Our children are just dying. Look how the young people are dying. And that, they hail you by, you believe it. So a considerable number went in against former President Weah, but they knew that we had initiated developments, practical development. They saw all of those. And so they were convinced. And then they shift the argument again to another. So they made the people to believe that everything that was happening was planned, organized, executed by George Weah. They were not arguing on anything development because they knew that if they argued that way, they would not have won the argument, they would not have won the electoral debate because they would have had no substance. So they brushed that aside, that we cannot admit that this man did X, Y, Z. We will not win. We don't have any convincing thing. Let's put the argument on drugs, put the argument on the auditor's death, put the argument on this, put the argument on that. And that's what they were thriving on. And they made the people to believe that's how they got. Now, if you doubt that, before I can go to that, look at how everything went. Nima County, besides the National Elections Commission, manipulative conduct, look at Nima County. It was not that they were doing well. The same thing I've talked about, and Wule inserted that in his piece, personality. Former President Weah, the Nima people know that Weah's handprint, footprint is in Nima County. Nobody can deny that. They know. Weah did a lot more developmentally in Nima County. Nobody can say that the former president did not do anything in Nima County. He did. But what did the people do? The people went for personality over development. Look at Nima County. If you did follow the 2023, they were not saying that former President Weah did not go into Nima County. They were not saying that Weah did not construct, did not pave, did not touch humanity in every existence in Nima County. They were not saying that. They were on Godfather. The Godfather politics was the order of the day. Former President Weah didn't lose the election because he failed developmentally in Nima County. He lost the election because Prince Johnson didn't support him. If Prince Johnson had backed former President Weah, it would have been the other way around, and it would have been a one-round victory. But the people opted for personality. They did not look at development, even though they were experiencing development. They were using the development, which they are still using today. They see they can testify to the legacy developmentally of former President George Weah. But they sacrifice that on the political altar for personality. Everything that the former president did in Nimba County, they saw it as nothing. But they look up to the political god that this person in Senator Johnson is our God. Whatever he tells us is what we're going to do. They were independent, even though they had every independence. Given what they've seen over the time in Nimba County from former President Weah, they opted for personality. And they went in that direction. Now, let's get to the margin. 17,000. But any and every stretch of imagination that is tiny, very tiny of imagine. Very tiny. It tells you that vast majority of the people went for President Weah. It also tells you that former President George Weah won the election, but there was manipulation from within. That number, very tiny of any realistic figure, sufficient enough for the former president to have capitalized on and still hold on to power. But he opted to concede with a unique developmental legacy. What am I saying by this political reasoning? Another caption, Weah returns to the presidency 2029. Here is it. President Joseph Yeman Boakai Sr. can turn this country in the next years into heaven, even more than heaven. It would not give him 2029. The people have resolved in his campaigning for the former president. You can listen to the rhetorics that he and his officials are releasing. They are entitled to it, but they cannot be the ones to determine balloting. The balloting is done by 5.4 million people. And former President George Weah commands a considerable chunk of the over 5.4 million people constituting the population of this country. That margin resonates sufficient enough for Weah's return 2029. It was not 180,000 votes. It was not 200,000. It was not 300,000. 17,000. Too tiny of a number. And you call that a victory? No. The same factors that work against Weah, those factors will work against Unity Party. President Boakai can turn this country into heaven, even more than heaven. Trust me, it would never, ever, never, ever give him 2029. The signs are clear. Open your eyes. Put on your political reasoning cap. All of the factors are falling in place gradually. And some Unity Party people know. And the factors are going to get even interesting and juicy. Getting closer. We want nothing absolutely to happen. That everybody be available. All of the players fit. Free, fair, competitive game. And see who the National Elections Commission as the referee will blow the final whistle in favor of. All we need is what we has repeatedly said and is doing.
I will remain actively engaged with the politics of the country as standard bearer and political leader of the Coalition for Democratic Change. I will remain actively engaged with the politics of the country as standard bearer and political leader of the Coalition for Democratic Change. I will remain actively engaged with the politics of the country as standard bearer and political leader of the Coalition for Democratic Change.
As they have started pre-campaigning, they can go ahead. They think they are smart, but they aren't. All the Unity Party officials, even if President Bouaga wants to start moving Fanny around the southeast, he can go. You people can turn the southeast into heaven, because there's no other city you can compare with heaven. You can turn the southeast into heaven. You will see personality politics, and you'll put your hands on your head 2029 and say, had we known, we would not have come in the southeast. Brag about it, that you're going into the southeast, you're in the southeast, about road. Brag. The greatest deception in Liberian politics, you have not experienced it. You're about to experience it. Positive, realistic deception. So you'll continue running campaign. You'll go ahead to run your campaign. You think by running into the southeast, you'll put the people against George Weah early? Well, whoever may have shared that idea with you, wrong political reasoning, it will not help you. The people already know. As a matter of fact, the southeast is not only for you. Former President Weah already touched the southeast. His handprint is there, his footprint is there. So you can preach your politics, and you dare carry your politics of Weah did nothing to the country. I see people splashing mud on you people and booing you people out of that place. You never ever try the son of the southeast. You never, if you know what tradition is, you never go into the town, into the birthplace of a person and attempt or start to denigrate him. You never. You know what happens traditionally? They boo you. The waste mud send on you. They drive you out of that place. So if you people know what I know, you have to be very careful. We're not saying that you should not run ahead to campaign, because you people have started campaigning now. The party that is claimed to be mature, educated, informed, exposed, campaigning so early, making premature campaign announcements, as if you people are the only ones who know how to do those things. But you can go ahead. You can go ahead with your campaign politics. What we can tell you people, former President George Weah returns to the presidency 2029. You people do the groundwork. You people go ahead with the publicity. You people do every other thing. And we are going to have a walk in the park. The only way you people will have impact, the people who listen to you, except former President Weah, wasn't there. And he did not do anything. He did not touch. But his handprint, his footprint, his nail print, everything is there practically. In these counties, he may not have been 100%, but he touched every county. And that's what a leader is. No leader does 100%. President Bouaga is not going to do 100%. No. No leader. This country history has not known any leader to do 100%. But every leader does what he can do within his or her reach. Former President Weah was not 100%, and he cannot tell you that he was 100%, but he did considerably well. He took this country development to another level. He introduced the development politics. He gave it what in philosophy is referred to as a new metaphysics, meaning identity, that today you see it in this current government. What led the current president, Joseph Yuma Boakai, to break ground for the construction of Justice Ministry Complex? Did they ever think about that in the past while he was there? Did he ever think of such while he was in opposition and say, if God helps me, I get the presidency, this is one of my plans? Was that in their manifesto? No. But they heard, saw, read, bear witness to the vision of former President George Weah. Had President Weah not come to the presidency, let's take it this way, had he not come, this country will have still been a trash can. Yet, every other thing that you see people doing today is George Weah's exposure. Because he left the world, he saw the world, he saw development. He is a testimony of modern development. And those ideas, he brought them to his country. And that's how countries are developed today. That's how. Cloud Hope Foundation. I was watching keenly, listening to the interview of the First Lady of Sierra Leone, which I will bring on tomorrow, if God permits. And she was talking about her initiatives. You can, watching the interview, I sensed the parallel between the former First Lady, Claire Weah, and Sierra Leone current First Lady, Fatima Bio. What did the woman say? She talked about her foundation. She talked about how she has been helping people, constructing malls, setting up different institutions, paying university students school fees, and every other thing. How did she start? When she was asked about those things, she said that she asked her husband to help, and she sold money. What is the difference between what she said and the former First Lady of Liberia? Isn't it normal to source from outside? You will hear that tomorrow. That is set for tomorrow. That interview, you will hear the woman herself. That the help of her husband, the current president of Sierra Leone, and her ability to source funding from her friends and other institutions. I think I should give you just okay, tomorrow. Listening, watching the interview, the chill came on my skin. And I just said to myself, this country is just a bad country, nasty, dirty, stink. Meaning, these are characteristics of the devil. The devil is nasty, the devil is stink, the devil, meaning such person, they just don't want anything good coming from anybody. So they are arguing, the woman took government money. Even though the woman says she sourced funding, they still say no. Oh, in her capacity of first lady. Here is a current first lady telling the whole world that she sought the assistance of her current husband, the current president of Sierra Leone, Julius Maada Bio, and she sourced funding from friends and institutions outside to set up what she had for humanity. The woman said, it was shocking to people. She said, do you know? She talked about, because she is a Muslim, she said she built 500. She said that what she could remember, that's the normal. So she was approximating 500 mosques. She built schools, church. She talked about the number of students that she is catering to. University. I think she said about 2 or 3 million university. As she named them, then she would ask, she would tell the journalist, do you know? Do I go and tell people? I've not told anybody. It is for humanity. Today or tomorrow, I will leave. I will be gone. God does not reward you for what you brag of. Oh God. Oh look, how that interview is unique. The woman is talking, I just imagining the former first lady here. You know, they talk, they're similar in the soft in talking, clear. Yeah. Unique interview. I will bring it, don't worry. I have it already. So you see, United Party can do any and everything they can. Run to the southeast, do whatever you can. Break down what you think you can do against George Weah. You broke down his institution, the party headquarters. You attempted for all the kind of thing there. And then you go, you attempting, or you going in southeast, say you're facing road. You can face the road. You can turn the southeast into heaven. See, if you will get the kind of vote you want from the southeast, if you don't say, a United Party people ain't say, the southeast people, they are very, very ungrateful. Never ever call me Sam Andrews. Say that man a liar. Go there, do whatever you can do in our southeast. And you think that the people will give you overwhelming vote in southeast. The people will go for their son, their own. Traditionally, you can betray your own. It is a curse. The people of Nima County, they look at Prince Johnson as their own. They say, this is the man. This is the godfather. This is Nima County. We listen to Nima County. Whatever Nima County tells us is what we will do. And they listen to Prince Johnson. Personality. They listen to Prince Johnson. The current vice president, he was nothing. Throughout 2023, he never had voice in Nima County. If Prince Johnson had just said, I'm going back to George Weah, We're not talking Unity Party presidency. We're not talking Joe Boakai. You look at the number. How convincing, how realistically convincing that number of imagine that you will say these people, they want it. People look at number 30,000, 45,000, 100,000 margin, say it's overwhelming. But 17,000 is too elementary of a number. Too petty. Very tiny. And you think that you want? It means that the message that you preach, only few, it resonated with only few. Take it or leave it. Former President George Weah returns to the presidency 2029. If God permits, we're back tomorrow. We'll talk more tomorrow. Never doubt the now and the future. No one can determine the destiny politically of anybody but God. God is not of politics. God is involved with everything humanity. God is involved with religion. God is involved with politics. God is involved with agriculture. God is involved with business. God is involved with just everything. That's what he meant when he said, in everything, bring it to me. You got a political problem, and you take it to God, he gives you a political solution. You got a religious problem, you take it to God, he gives you a religious solution. You got an economic problem, you take it to God, he gives you an economic solution. That's what he is. No one determines another person's destiny. If anybody would say that George Weah cannot return to the presidency 2029, is to say conversely or reversely that President Boakai will not return 2029, because re-election is a return. Re-election is a return, meaning you are there, you're going back. To say former President George Weah will not return to the presidency 2029 is to say conversely that current President Joseph Yoma Boakai will not return 2029, because he will not get it. He will be seeking re-election. I see you. Thank you. Join us tomorrow. If God permits, we're back. At 6:50, Isiaka Sharif and Josephine Pello are in with CDC hour. And that will take us to 8 o'clock, the holiday presentation. You know exactly who's that. The teacher of the land, the light of the nation, the evangelist, Anthony at Law, A.B. William, with Face the Issues. Don't miss it. If God permits, we're back tomorrow. Shalom. This is how we go home.
2 leaders walking different light. One leads with love, the other spite. George and Joseph both can stand so clear. One brings hope, one brings fear. Joe's way he rules with gentle hands, lifts the weak and understands. Every soul gets equal chance. Compassion flows in his advance. When the people need him near, he steps down to dry their tears. Plays with kids and helps the old. His warm heart can't be sold. Oh, Joe's really leads with love so true. Every day his care shines through, while the other spreads the pain. Joseph Boca brings the storm and rain. Joseph Boca brings the storm and rain. Joseph Boca rules with hate and lies, laughs as hungry children cry, treats his people like they're dirt, leaves them bleeding, leaves them hurt. When the nation needs his aid, he just watches while it falls, mocks their pain with cruel delight, devil dressed in leader's might. Oh, Joe's where leads with love so true. Every day his care shines through, while the other spreads the pain. Joseph Boca brings the storm and rain.
From the latest news to your favorite tunes, we've got your back morning, night, and afternoon. Join our family, connect with your crew. Kings FM 88.5, just for you.